Hey everyone, I'm Mind, and this is set number 71454, Mateo and Z-Blob the robot from the LEGO Dreamzzz theme. This set contains 237 pieces, 2 minifigures, and will retail for $19.99 in the US, as well as $20.99 in most places in Europe. This set does not officially release until August 1st, 2023, but it was sent to me early by the LEGO group through the LEGO Ambassador Network, but all opinions expressed in this video are my own. Every LEGO Dreamzzz set includes some sort of alternate build, and I will be covering both builds in this video. So make sure to watch all the way through if you want to see how the different builds look. Also make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and let me know in the comments which LEGO Dreamzzz set you want to see an early review on next. I'll be doing early reviews of all the LEGO Dreamzzz sets, but I'm going to be doing the most requested ones first. So make sure to let me know which ones you guys want to see, but now let's get into the review. So here's Z-Blob, the main build of this set, and this guy is so much fun. He's basically just a brick build action figure. I guess he's somewhat comparable to like the small mechs that we see in Ninjago and Marvel and Monkey Kid, but I think the colors on this build are what really tie everything together for me. Each of Z-Blob's limbs use the pipe pieces in trans green, and that does an amazing job to help this build stand out. Might be getting a little ahead of myself though. Starting with the feet on this build, you can see they use the SCCBS armor pieces for the shoes, and I actually think those work surprisingly well, and definitely fit the very robotic vibes that they're going for with this set. Those of course connect onto the ball joint, and then there's those pipe pieces that I mentioned. And then the legs connect onto the body on like these rigid tectic joints. However, this is an all-new rigid tectic joint piece. It uses the same building system that like previous joints have used in the past, but this is just an all-new shape for it that incorporates into these pipe pieces really well. That's honestly an amazing new part, and I'm looking forward to seeing where else it's used in the future. Coming up to Z-Blob's waist, nothing too special here, though I love how smooth everything is, definitely feels like very futuristic. And then there's a little wheel piece at the center which actually allows Z-Blob to rotate at his waist. Now that's amazing for posability options, because not only can we move the arms, legs, feet, hands, but you can rotate the entire waist too. So you could get some very dynamic poses out of this guy, which we'll take a look at in just a moment. You can see there's a few sticker pieces for Z-Blob's torso. We have the Dream Chasers logo right here, the word blob for of course Z-Blob, just a sticker that says yo, and then this right here says sleep, because of course this is LEGO Dreamzzz. Something kind of interesting is the set actually comes with extra stickered pieces. This is something we have seen LEGO do before in like the Ninjago Prime Empire sets, but it's not something we see them do all too often. But yeah, all these stickered pieces here are just bonus, so you can put them wherever you want in this set or on other sets. Totally unnecessary, but I think that's a fun inclusion. I liked how we got that with the Prime Empire stuff, and I'm happy to see it again. It doesn't come in every set this way, but it does come in a few. So yeah, that's actually pretty neat. And then at the very top right here, we have Z-Blob's head, which is just this classic LEGO dome piece with two little eyes printed on it. That's so simple, but so adorable. I absolutely love that. And if you want Z-Blob to exit this giant robot suit, you can literally just remove these two pieces right here, and then just use Z-Blob on his own like this. You can see he just attaches on one stud right here, and as such, it's very easy to rotate his head if you want even more personality out of him. I love how smooth everything looks in the back of this build too. Like the back really doesn't look that much worse than the front. Obviously the front looks a little bit better because it is the main angle you're meant to be looking at it from, but this does look significantly better than the backs of most mechs. And you can see coming off the back right here, we have a little turret. This has two stud shooters on it, which of course you can push down on and stud shoot out. But there's also a little seat on this turret, and that's where you can actually have Mateo sit. So that way when Z-Blob's running around, you can actually have Mateo with him, and I think that's awesome. That reminds me a lot of like back in Ninjago Season 1 when Neo was in the Samurai X-Mech and Sensei Wu would just hop up and hang out with her. I don't believe we ever got that seat for Wu in any actual sets, even though it was pretty prominent in the show. So seeing an official LEGO toy do something very similar is honestly quite cool. It makes me very happy and also just seems like so much fun for play. Then coming down to Z-Blob's arms, they're once again connected with those rigid Technic pieces. So of course it's very easy to move them out, move them in, as well as spin them a full 360 degrees if you want to do that for some reason. The actual pipe pieces that make up the arm can be spun too, as well as at the wrist, so there's actually so many options for posability. I guess I didn't mention that with the legs, but yeah, the legs themselves can rotate. It's not as relevant for the legs as it is for the arms, but I love that that option's there. It just opens up to so many more potential poses. Then of course at Z-Blob's wrist we have another SCCBS armor piece, and the build uses 3 of the white robot arm piece just to be little fingers. And you can see there's a tactical in here for him to hold on to an accessory. Now what accessory would that be? Well, you can see that on the other hand, because both arms and hands are built exactly the same, so if you want to move this accessory from one arm to the other, you very well can. But you can see he comes with like this giant goo gun. There's a little tank of goo at the bottom, and then this giant green blast piece shooting out. This is an all new piece for this wave, and it comes in a few different colors in a few different sets. I don't believe the green one's exclusive to this set, however, it's still a really cool part to get. And personally, I think it's very fun to have a weapon for Z-Blob, and I think this fits him perfectly. And yeah, as I said, posability with this build's pretty great. You can get him in a running pose like this, but the actual pipe pieces on the legs and the arms being able to spin leads to so many more just goofy options like this. This guy's pretty light and has so many different points of articulation, so honestly, the sky's the limit here. This guy genuinely feels like a brick built action figure, and he is super well done. I don't think I could be happier with how all of this turned out. And then there's a few side builds here, which are just kind of nothing to me. You have like an extra goo canister for the goo gun, and I mean, yeah, I guess that's fine to have, but it's nothing all too exciting. These two, I'm not sure what they're supposed to be, like goo splatters maybe. And then this, I guess, is a target to try and hit. It's a stickered flag piece. And the other side doesn't even make sense in this build, and that's because all these pieces are more prominently featured in the alternate build in this set. Because yes, as I mentioned earlier in this video, there is an alternate build to this set, and the way that LEGO Dreamzzz this alternate build builds is different to how previous LEGO thieves have done them, because the themes like Creator 3-in-1 as well as like Zane's Ice Dragon from Ninjago earlier this year, the alternate builds involve completely taking apart the set and rebuilding it. With LEGO Dreamzzz though, it's a little bit different. In the case of this set, the first 2 bags of this set are completely the same no matter what, but then when it comes to bag 3, you have 2 different options as to what you want to build. We're going to take a quick look at the instructions just because the instructions in these sets are actually really cool. Normally I don't look at this, but they went all out with these. You can see there's an illustration on the front of Z-Blob running and shooting his blaster, and then you can see this is the build before bag 3, and then when you get to bag 3, you can choose which path you want to go. Whether you want to build the build we just looked at, or build the alternate build, which we'll take a look at in just a moment. Before we get to that though, let's real quick take a look at the other side build of this set. This does not come apart when you rebuild it to the alternate build, but we just have like this little nightmare creature spider guy, and this guy's actually really cute. There's not a ton to him, he's just got these little eyes at the front and these 4 little legs, but then he's got like these claws that wrap around this minifigure right here, and if we remove the minifigure you could see, he's actually laying on a little bed. So this is like a little spider with a bed for a body that traps dreamers and runs off with them. I always like brick built builds like this, and this guy has so much personality. Like, come on, how could you not love this little guy? He's awesome. But I think that's about all I have to show you for now. So now let's take a look at the alternate build of the set, then the minifigures, and then I'll give you my overall thoughts. So here's the alternate build of Mateo and Z-Blob the robot, and it's not super different from the previous build just because there wasn't a ton of parts to work with. However, there are still some significant differences. For one, the little goo gun that he was holding is just completely gone now, as well as the little turret on his shoulder where Mateo could sit. Instead, the stud shooters from that turret have been moved over to his wrist, and honestly, I actually think that works pretty well. I feel like being able to shoot the studs from his wrist is actually really fun for play. The biggest difference is at Z-Blob's head because you can see his face is completely covered by this mask now. And I think that's a really cool alternate option to have because it completely changes the look of this build despite so many of the parts being exactly the same. If you're not a fan of how Z-Blob looks with his face, you might still like how this looks, because this kind of just looks like a generic sci-fi robot. However, Z-Blob's face is still in there, you don't remove that, it's just a little bit hidden away. And if you like this form of Z-Blob but you don't like the mask, that mask is very easy to remove. It's just connected on 2 clips and you can pull it off like this, and there's how Z-Blob looks with it removed. And then the other big difference is on Z-Blob's back, as you can see he has a giant jetpack here now. This honestly looks really cool, and I kind of wish you could have this on both versions, because I really like the goo gun in his hand, and I think I prefer that of the 2. But the jetpack does tie everything together really well, and reusing that like goo blast piece to be something that's launching him up into the air is really cool. Then you can see there's 2 tanks at the top, as well as a proper use of the flag in this build, which makes me happy to see, because yeah, the other use of that was kind of pointless. So yeah, all things considered, this is a pretty fun alternate option. So between the 2 builds, I'm honestly a bit torn. I really like the shoulder turret on the main build, and the goo gun's a lot of fun. But on the alternate build, the jetpack is awesome and just adds so much more bulk to the build. So honestly, I think both are good. And it only takes a couple of minutes to switch between the 2, so honestly, it might be worth doing both. I would say the alternate build makes use of the pieces better, like it doesn't have all those awkward side builds off to the side. But honestly, both are quite good, and there's not a huge difference one way or the other. But I think that's about all I've got to say on the builds of this set, so now let's take a look at the minifigures that it comes with. So here are the 2 minifigures in this set. First we have Mateo, who's one of the main characters of LEGO Dreamzzz. And then we also have Jayden, who is a side character in the show. However, in the context of this set, they're kind of just meant to be a generic sleeping character. Starting with Mateo though, I think this is a really good minifigure. Unfortunately, this is not the complete version of Mateo. He comes with a cape in some other sets, but just not in this one. That's a little bit disappointing to see, because it definitely would have been a nice touch. But the figure's definitely not bad without it. I love Mateo's all-new hairpiece for this wave. It's got a good bit of texture to it. And you can see it's printed at the front with a little bit of green to represent Z-Blob. Then of course his face print is the 1 green eye and the 1 normal eye. And this side of the face print, I don't know, not my favorite in my opinion, doesn't capture this character's personality the best. But the other side I actually think is really good with the super happy smile. This figure uses the LEGO Batman movie belt piece in bright green, which is an awesome recolor for that part. And then he also has new dual molded legs, which are like these gray jeans with red sneakers underneath them. That looks really awesome as well, and it's just such a great part to have. Here's how the full torso print looks with that belt removed, as well as the hip piece, and there's a full look at the back torso print too. In terms of accessories, you can see Mateo comes with like this giant brick built pencil weapon, and that's just like he has in the show, and I think this was translated to brick form so well. It's actually quite creative how all that's done. And then he also comes with an hourglass piece, which is a great inclusion too, and that has a printed version of the Dreamzzz logo on top, the same one that's on his torso print. So yeah, this set is a great way to get a pretty good minifigure for cheap, and even though he doesn't have his cape piece, that doesn't make this figure bad by any means. And then Jayden as a minifigure is fine. He's wearing these purple pajamas, and he's got this exclusive unicorn printing on the torso, which is actually pretty neat. Turning him around, you can see that continues around the back, and then he just has like the young Lloyd hairpiece in black, and removing that you can see his full face print. I do like how he has his retainer in, that's a very fun touch, but I really don't have too much else to say on this guy. I appreciate that there is a second figure in this set, but he's just nothing all too exciting. And so, overall, what are my thoughts on this set? Honestly, I think this set's really good. For $20, this is the perfect scale. It's not like overpriced or anything, which is a good thing, especially in 2023. But you get 1 really good minifigure, 1 solid minifigure, a super fun build of Z-Blob, which is really iconic to the LEGO Dreamzzz show if you've seen that. But even if you don't care about the Dreamzzz show at all, this is just a fun and unique build. There's not really any other LEGO sets that look like this. Like, the closest thing is Megan Monkey Kid uses a somewhat similar color scheme, but this is so different from any of her sets. And to me personally, Z-Blob is just inherently a very cute character, so I absolutely love how he is as an actual set. So I would say, even if you have the smallest bit of interest in LEGO Dreamzzz, Dreamzzz, this would be a good set to pick up, because it's one of the small sets of the theme. You get the main character here, and the build looks good, it's unique, and it's also just fun to move around and play with. Yeah, I don't know what else there is to say. I was thoroughly impressed by this set, and I don't really have any critiques. But of course, those are just my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think of this set in the comments below. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, make sure to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and let me know in the comments which LEGO Dreamzzz set do you want to see an early review on next. But as for this video, I think that's about all I have to say, so thanks for watching everybody, I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!